Hello fam, welcome back to IRL Achievements. My name is Rachel, and if you haven't been here before, the goal of this channel is to set some goals, pursue those goals, and achieve those goals. Now last week, I had planned to do something that involved either going to a national park and taking some more photos or visiting a local business, neither of which happened because life caught up to me in a very real way and I just couldn't get to it. So instead of doing that, I'm going to side quest it and do something very, very simple that can be done at the house in about 5 minutes. I'm gonna take about like 3 photos, throw them into Photoshop, and then I'm actually going to compare Photoshop with something like Instagram that anybody could have and show you what you can use on both of them that are super similar and what you can't use. So if you're starting off, this would be a good central point to kind of figure out whether or not you want to pursue getting software like Photoshop, because that stuff is expensive. Trust me, even with a student discount, it's a heavy price. So without further ado, we're just gonna jump right into it.
The first photo I decided to use was a picture of my cat. Now, using Instagram, it's not a software per se, but it does have a system that allows you to adjust and correct some of your photos with what they have. It's actually quite powerful. You can either use their preset features or preset filters or go straight to editing the photo with what they have. And you have actually an array of options, the brightness and contrast. You have these color filters right here, and you can adjust the opacity to them, and you can kind of experiment and find which colors work well with your photos, if any colors at all. Doing photos, which maybe later on I'll show you some of the earlier photos that I've taken, I used Instagram to correct those photos, to heighten the brightness, to heighten the contrast, to make it look more impressive than what it is, and that's kind of the overall product, what I got. The Book of Sherlock Holmes, and then the pop figure of the BBC show Sherlock Holmes. Fun fact, it was the show that actually got me to realize attractiveness of Benedict Cumberbatch. His face, not so much, but once you hear his voice for a while, then you realize, okay, I get it. I'm there. I feel ya. But yeah, using the contrast, using those shadows to like darken it, and it's all about the experimentation. Yeah, you see how I darkened those shadows and kind of moved on to that. This radial blur, it really wasn't affecting anything. I already had that depth effect going with that picture, so I just took it out altogether. Even though Instagram is great for editing photos, it is quite limited to what you can do. Because if I could, if you remember in the first couple seconds, it was in black and white. With Photoshop, you have more options. You can select the particular color you want to keep in, and then have everything else black and white, which would have made this picture pop in my opinion. But with Instagram, you don't really have much of a choice. You just got what you got, and you can't do that advanced sort of editing using this software, but that's fine. Again, you just gotta use what you can, experiment with what you got, and then try to figure out, hey, what works with what. And that's what we have here, and it came out looking actually pretty nice for what you have. I upped the texture to make the engraving stand out more. So it worked out well. Now with Photoshop, there's a lot that you can do with it, but with this particular video, I really wanted to compare what is readily available on Instagram and show the same things or some of the similar things that are on Photoshop. Because there's a lot of overlap. Not much, but there's quite a bit of overlap. And it's usually just found in the adjustment settings where a lot of those overlapping features meet. And it's, again, basic stuff: color correction, brightness and contrast, saturation. I try to limit myself using the things that I would find on Instagram and just Photoshop. Some of those things would be found under different names. Like this here, it's not exactly like a color filter, but it does the same thing. As you can see, it kind of adjusts the overall color of the picture. And you could just play with that. Again, lowering the opacity, doing stuff like that to make it look and blend nicer. The same thing with Photoshop that you would do with Instagram, and you just got to experiment with the different things that are there. Now, because these are different softwares, things are going to come out a little differently, and some things aren't going to be the same. I was looking for something similar to what Instagram has in terms of the one feature texture, and I really couldn't find it, but that's something I'll have to research a little bit more in order to find it. But that's what it came up with for Photoshop. It's slightly different from the Instagram version. There was a little bit more access to fine-tuning it than it was in Instagram, but it is what it is. Still similar products. Again, the second picture here. I know I struggle with finding the balance between the shadows and the highlights of the picture. I'm going to be honest and full disclosure, I do like the Instagram version a little bit better, but that's because I was rushing. I think in this Photoshop version, there was just a bit more that popped with the Instagram version than with this Photoshop version. It definitely was because I was limiting myself to what I could use in Photoshop just to compare and contrast the two methods of which you can edit a photo. But I feel like that's just an excuse to play up Photoshop for more than what it is. But that was the picture that I came up with using Photoshop. Not too bad. Certain colors definitely popped using the saturation, so was okay with it. Now this picture here, I would love to, and I might do this in the future again, just select those reds in what would be imitation rubies and make that red pop and have everything else just go black and white so that color is just standing out even more. But that might be something I'll do in the future. Here, again, the method is just comparing and contrasting some of the similar features you would find in Photoshop and Instagram. Now, I do want to say there was a tool I used that was outside of adjustments, and it was the sharpen tool. It's something that is available on Instagram as well. So with that being said, I was like, all right, I can use this to kind of cheat my way into highlighting that symbol area, those details in the, this is not a dagger, this is actually scissors with a sheath, but to highlight those details in the scissors itself. And that was something that, again, is available on Instagram, it's available on Photoshop. So my little cheat method kind of went out of the adjustments, section and experimented a little bit with enhancing that detail. And even though you don't see it at first, once you undo the developments you had done before, you could definitely see those enhancements pop even more so. And when you do it, make sure you have your picture clicked instead of one of the adjustment layers, or else it's not going to happen whatsoever. So I struggled with that before. I remembered that I was supposed to click the picture, not the adjustment layer, in order to make that work. But yeah, those are the three pictures, one using Photoshop, one using Instagram. Some was better in Instagram, others were better in Photoshop. Use what you got and practice until you find something that works for you.
Hopefully, once I graduate this month, actually it'll be next month. Once I graduate next month, I'll be able to pursue some more stuff. I just have to carve out some time in the next couple weeks to get to places where I want to go. There's a couple places within my state that look really, really cool and I really want to go to them. As long as I get my stuff done before my days off, I should be able to. But until then, if things don't work out like they have done this week, then I'll just keep doing some side quests like this and hope for the best. But let me know what you guys have as goals. Like, what do you want to pursue? What do you want to accomplish? Let me know in the comments below, and if you were able to accomplish, and if not, why not? Because again, I know for me, life caught up, it is insane. But until then, have a good rest of your day, fam. I'll see you later.